Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another LinkedIn Live session. And today we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Dinesh Palipana from Australia. He's a doctor and he's also the Queensland Australian of the Year 2021. So I'm very excited to learn from him and have him here. So let's bring him on screen.
Great.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great. So I have a lot of questions prepared for you because you're a doctor and everything. You face a lot of challenges and you've overcome a lot of those challenges. So I have a lot to learn from you as a 13-year-old, and I would like to ask a few questions. So I'm gonna start from your childhood. So I really want to know, during your childhood, were you a child who liked to study a lot, or were you like a mischievous child?
Yeah, thanks, Nethila. That's a great question. To be honest, I was, I think my mom would like to say that I was mischievous. So I wasn't, I didn't like to study a lot. I wasn't very studious when I was a kid. And I liked to play a lot. And I was pretty mischievous, to be honest.
Okay, I think we have something similar right there. So, were there any signs to anybody around you that you would become a doctor one day? Was anybody expecting you to become a doctor one day when you grew up?
No, I never had a plan to become a doctor. No one in my family are doctors. I mean, we had family friends who were. So I don't know what my parents thought I would become, but I think medicine wasn't really on the radar at all. But my parents were really, my mom, she's always given me the freedom to do the things I want to do and explore life and understand who I am. But yeah, medicine was never a part of that plan early in my life.
So, what exactly did you want to be? Like, you decided to be a doctor later, I guess. So, what did you want to be when you were around that age?
I had many different ideas. I thought I loved flying airplanes for a while. I liked IT for a while. I liked all sorts of things, but yeah, there was nothing in particular. I went through all these different ideas, but nothing specific. I can't think back and say I grew up wanting to be this or that. No, it was there was nothing specifically that I wanted to be.
So, you were just cruising through all the options you had to see which one would stick with you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when I graduated from high school, I studied law. So that was I went to law school first. So that was where I started life. But no, I don't think I really know. Some people really know that they want to be a doctor. Some people really know that they want to be a pilot or something. But no, that was never on my radar.
Hmm. And you're in Australia right now. So, when exactly did you migrate to Australia?
In 1994, I was 10 years old. We actually landed here on my 10th birthday.
Oh, okay. So maybe it was like a birthday gift from your parents, get to
Yeah,
fly when you were just
exactly.
10 years old. You said that you practiced law. Did you become a
Mm.
lawyer first or a doctor? Which one were you
Well,
first?
I finished law school first. Yeah, so that was that was the first degree that I did, and then I went to medical school after that.
So you are practicing law today?
I don't practice law specifically, so my my main job is as a doctor, uh, but the law degree is really useful. So I work with the Disability Royal Commission in Australia, and I do a bit of work around disability, so that is definitely useful. Um, so the law degree has been one of the best things I've ever done.
So learning law is helping you and is an advantage to you right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, we also have some comments here. So we have from Anbarasupi. Wow, super outstanding. Thank you. We have
Hey, thanks.
hi, super. Keep rocking. Thank you. Oh, yes. And for my next question. So you met with an accident a while ago when you were a medical student. How did you deal with this accident and how has it like affected your life?
Yeah, so I had a car accident in 2010. I was driving on a wet road and my car lost control and then I had a car crash. So I was the only person in the car, and it happened in 2010. And you might be able to see it. I have a scar on my neck here,
Yeah.
and a scar
Yeah.
on my head as well, which is
Yeah.
there. So that was birthed from the accident, and I damaged my spinal cord and lost the use of my fingers and everything below the chest. And it was challenging. It was a huge change in my life, from being able to walk to suddenly not being able to walk, and to being able to use my fingers to not being able to use my fingers. And there were so many physical challenges that came with it, but there were all the social challenges as well. It was financially very difficult. My family fell apart. We had to sell our house. So there were all these problems that happened with it. So it was pretty tough.
But you somehow managed to overcome that, and now you're a very successful doctor.
Yeah, well, I think one of my friends, when I was in the hospital after the accident, she printed out the poem Invictus. And I don't know if you've ever read this poem, but the word Invictus means undefeated or invincible.
Hmm.
So if you read through the poem, it goes through the story of a man who's going through a really hard time in his life. But towards the end, he says that no matter how bloody his head becomes from the blows of nature, he will not bow down, and that he is the master of his fate and the captain of his soul. So I decided that I will be the master of my fate and the captain of my soul, and that I won't bow down. And what can you do, right? You just keep going. So I just kept going.
That's very inspirational. I'll make sure to check out this poem. So now there must have been a lot of challenges with the disability and all of that. So there also must have been a lot of people who helped you and they believed in you that you could do something.
Yeah, lots. I mean, I was lucky, right? I think I was lucky to have my mum. My mum she's always been that person in my life. She's always encouraged me to do things. Thanks, Amita. Leave a comment. So yeah, she's always encouraged me to do things. She's always, ever since I was a kid, she's told me that I can do anything. She's been incredible. So my mum was one of the main people that helped me in that journey. And then there was there were lots of other people. I had my friends, some really close friends who always encouraged me to keep going. And there were people that said that I can't, I won't be able to become a doctor anymore. There were people that said that I won't be able to do so many things. But no, I was lucky in that there were people that did that for me. And it's sometimes the simple things that people do make a difference in our lives. It's not the big things, but it's the kind words or the encouragement that someone might give. So I was really lucky to have people like that.
Yeah, like ultimately it comes down to a lot of the people who care about you and support your journey. Because my parents, they supported me a lot for being an entrepreneur and pursuing all these business related things.
Yeah, and you're doing great. But I think one of the things I always think about is I think the way that a mother loves their child, there's nothing like that in the world, right? The mum always
Yeah.
wants the best for their child, and it's probably the one person in the world who always will want the best for their children. So I think I was really lucky to have a mum like that.
You are a disability advocate, but you're in a very developed nation. So, is there more to do when it comes into the inclusion and the equal rights for disabled people? Like,
Okay, so I think if we compare, I think economics matter, right? So first of all, if we talk about equity and disability rights, um, we talk about economics, and Sri Lanka, I think it has somewhere around 22 million people, but Sri Lanka has to work with a different budget. So Sri Lanka, I think the GDP is around 80 billion, or between 80 to 100 billion dollars, US dollars. Then Australia has something like 26 or 27 million people. So the populations are comparable, but the economies are vastly different. And the disability budget in Australia is around somewhere in the mid 20
I
billions
think you're cutting
Australian.
off.
So I think Australia has a different economy, and it's able to support. It's able to spend a lot more money on disability, and that's just that's just geography and luck. But I think disability rights that they across the world globally, it still has a long way to go. There is still, despite all these economic problems, there are still problems with healthcare and education and employment. So we
Yeah.
all need to do a lot of work in that area, no matter where we live. But I think economics does play a part in it.
Yeah, I mean, in your case, if we take, you have been met with this accident and you are paralyzed, but you don't consider it a disability, you consider it being a different kind of ability. So it's very inspirational hearing all of this from you. And I'm sure you're inspiring a lot of people all over the world who are watching this right now.
Thank you.
So we have a comment from Vihanga Vimukti. Thank you for the advice.
Thank
See,
you, Vihanga.
so you also state that you are a researcher, and can you tell us a bit more about it? Like, what do you do as a researcher?
So we have I'm talking to you from Griffith University at the moment. We have a research lab in spinal cord injury. So our research is around spinal cord injury and paralysis. And our work focuses on basically finding therapies to restore movement and reverse paralysis in people. So it's a really exciting time. Over the last few years, there's been some really interesting science around spinal cord injury and paralysis. So we have labs here that work on that problem, and some really talented people, and that's what my research is focusing on.
So you're trying to help other people in the future who might meet with a similar accident like yours, and you might be able to help them with the paralysis and the injuries.
Exactly.
So you're trying to help a lot of people.
Exactly. That's the plan.
So what's your advice to students? Because you are a med student as well, and you faced a lot of challenges in med school. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, particularly going through medical school with a spinal cord injury and using a wheelchair, there were various challenges. If I had to give any advice to students, I think the main thing, the number one thing, is to find something that you're passionate about. I think you have to, like Nethila, I love seeing you do this because you're clearly passionate about it, and your parents have supported you with pursuing this, and I think that's amazing. And I think what the world needs is
Thank you very much. What exactly is your advice to students who face multiple challenges, especially in Sri Lanka, in our country, COVID, financial crisis, the lack of electricity?
Yeah, I mean, I know Sri Lanka is going through such a hard time at the moment. But like I said, I think finding something that you're passionate about is the most important thing. Because if you have something that you're passionate about, and thank you, Angus, for the comment. If you have something that you're passionate about, it gives you a reason, right? It gives you a purpose, and it gives you a why. And I think that purpose and the why is the most important thing, because if you have a reason to get up in the morning, if you have a reason about what you're doing, if you have a why, then when the challenging times come, it gives us the resilience to keep going. I love medicine, and I love the way we can interact with humans, and I love the job for so many reasons, and that's the reason why I was able to go through during the hard times. So my advice really is to find that thing that you're passionate about, and then you'll be able to move mountains to get through it.
That's great advice, actually. Thank you for joining, Angus. I watch a lot of your content, Angus. Thanks for being here. So that's some great advice, actually. I'm sure a lot of students who will watch this will get a good insight about how to overcome these challenges. We also have another comment here. Great discussion. Thank you. Thank you, Simon. Now, I have a really important question here. How did you become the Queensland Australian of the Year 2021? How?
I wonder that myself. I'm hugely, it was such a surprise and a privilege and an honor, but it was for work around disability. and some of the disability advocacy. The day that it happened at the award ceremony, I was actually shocked, and I didn't know what to say, and my mind went completely blank. And I remember that day really well. But it was for work with disability. But when I think about that, it's not these milestones. I think they're a reminder for us to be better, and a reminder for us to keep doing more. And I think it's a responsibility, right? Like the Australian of the Year platform is so it's a gift, and it's a privilege, and it's such an important thing that people can use to perform good and social change. And that's what it has been for me. So it's just allowed me to do more work.
Okay, so you yourself are baffled by the fact that you got the Australian
I'm
of the Year.
I'm very honored. I think every day I just can't believe that my life has you
Changed.
never, yeah, and you never think, right? You never think when you're growing up. Like when I was 13, I never imagined that my life would be where it is today. But so often I'm just very thankful, and I'm surprised every day, and I'm grateful.
Okay, thank you for that answer. I'm learning a lot actually about how to overcome challenges, because that's basically all you've done your entire life. You've been overcoming all these challenges, accomplishing a lot of these great things, like becoming the Australian of the Year, like Australian of the entire year 2021. So you are a keynote speaker as well, right?
Well, I don't know if I see myself as that. I think I just I think again, I think I'm just really I feel really privileged that people would give me their time to share some ideas. So I don't really see myself as that, but I'm grateful for the opportunities to spread that message.
Okay, so how do you manage your time and energy so much, within an entire day? You're a doctor, you practice law, you're a keynote speaker, and you're also here for this discussion with me so that other people can learn, including myself. So you must manage your time really well to be able to attend all of these meetings and discussions.
So I have a few thoughts on this. Um, one is that life is really short, and you don't know what happens tomorrow, right? I had a car accident when I was 25 years old, and I could have potentially died in that accident. When I go to work every day, I see people sadly pass away unexpectedly, and life is short. Like you have to make the most of every day, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Even later today is not guaranteed. What we have is this moment right now, and life is happening. So you can't look back and have regrets, and you can't look back and think, oh, I wish I did that, or I wish I did this. So I just try to make
Can't
the
have
most of
regrets.
it, not have regrets. Carpe diem, they say. So I try to make the most of every day and live without regret. And I think the opportunities that we're given, like you very kindly extended the invitation to chat today, and I'm really honored. So I'm really grateful for the opportunities as well, because not everyone, not everyone gets opportunities, and I feel very rich for having that.
We have another comment here from Maheshi. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
you're a doctor in a hospital, which is the most exciting part for me. Like, meeting a doctor, and like I don't talk this casually with a doctor, like a doctor who treats patients. I don't have this normal casual conversation. I don't know that many doctors, so it's a really big privilege and honor to be able to talk to you like this. So could you give me a small rundown of your day at the hospital? Like what you do? You run errands in the hospital, you treat patients. Like how does it go, a day in the life as a doctor?
I work at the busiest
It's
emergency
fine.
department in Australia. So it's the Gold Coast University Hospital, and it's the busiest emergency department in the country. We treat hundreds of patients a day. And I go to work, and it can be anything, So in our department, we see everything from people having a trauma to people having heart attacks to people having strokes to people even simple things like breaking an ankle or breaking a bone to appendicitis or other surgical problems. So there's a variety of medical issues that come through. And we even have patients that are transferred here by helicopter from smaller hospitals. So there might be things that a regional hospital can't manage, and they get transferred to us. So basically, I just start my shift, and then I'll just start seeing patients. And honestly, it can be anything that day. So it can be anything from a really
You don't know
simple...
what to expect.
Exactly. And that's the great part about the job.
You just expect the unexpected.
Exactly.
So how many hours do you work a day?
It really depends. So our shifts go from I think around 11 hours, but it could be you could be there more. It really depends on what's happening. But generally that, and I do other things as well. So some days I'll spend a lot longer doing bits and pieces. So the days are very varied. And when I was a medical student, I remember some days I was up for 20 hours. Some days I've been awake for a lot longer. There are days, in addition to doing medicine and other things, I've been awake for 26 hours or something like that. So it varies, but yeah, it's very good.
So you are a very busy man. I really appreciate you being here. Like, I'm sure you're helping a lot of people who are dealing with challenges in their life right now. They're learning a lot from you, and so am I. So I have one last question.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. It's for a lot of youngsters who have a lot of dreams and success ahead of them in their lives. So what is your advice to kids, to young children, about success, about being successful and having dreams?
So no dream is too big, right? If you think about it, all the people that have whoever you might look up to, whether it be Henry Ford or Nikola Tesla or a president or a world leader or someone who created social change or Neil Armstrong or whoever, right? All these people started just like you. They started life just like you, and they just went for their dreams, and they had this idea. So it can be any one of us, and you just don't let go of your dreams. And no dream is too big. There is no dream that's too big. So
And no dreamer too small.
no dream too small. Exactly. I love that. So no dream is too big. No dream is too small. And I think the other thing is
No,
all
not
of it.
dream too small. A dreamer too small.
No dreamer too small, but no dream too small either. Hey, you can if you
You
again,
can have
it's just
both.
whatever you're passionate about, right? But I think the other thing to remember is that all of these things are a collection of small things, right? So you gotta do the small things every day well, and that is what adds up to big things. So one of my favorite books is by Admiral William McRaven, who wrote a book called Make Your Bed, it's about why it's important to make your bed every morning, because that's the first step. It's a small thing, but you start there, and then you do all the other small things well, and then your life builds up. So I think big things are a collection of small things done really well. So just remember that while you might have a dream, it's really about building it up from the small steps.
From the bottom up. Yeah, I think I've heard of that book. Yeah, it's if you don't do the first thing in your day right, you'll never do the rest of it right. You gotta do that first thing right because
And the
it'll
small
affect the
things.
rest of your day.
Exactly.
Yeah, continue. What was it you were gonna say?
No, I was going to say you got to do the first thing, but also the small things. You got to do the small
Small
things.
things. Okay, so I think that's all the questions I've had. I've learned a lot from you today, and I really appreciate you being here because you're a very busy person. You're a doctor. You have to work shifts. You have to deal with patients, a lot of issues, and I really appreciate you taking your time to join me for this small interview. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No, thanks for having me, Nethil, and you're doing an amazing job. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And to the audience, thank you very much for tuning in. This video will also be posted on my YouTube channel as well. So you can watch it there for people who didn't get to watch it live. Once again, thank you very much, Dr. Palipana. We also have a message from Angus here.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Angus.
Thank you, Angus. All right, so I think we'll end off the session here. Thank you once again, Dr. Dinesh. I really appreciate your time.
No problem. Take care.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.